Today I want to talk to you a little bit about how to structure rehearsal for a worship choir. So once you've chosen the type of choir that you want to decide, is your choir singing frequently or is this an infrequent choir? So if your choir is singing every week, you need to have a weekly rehearsal. If you're singing just for Sunday mornings, I would say pull them into your weekly evening rehearsal. We meet on Thursday evenings, so for the sake of this talk, I will refer to our Thursday rehearsal, but just apply it to whatever night of the week that you practice. So I found it unsuccessful to bring the band and the choir in together. There's a lot of chaos happening, especially if the choir's on stage and you're trying to direct the band. So I would suggest, and we've tried it both ways, where we brought the choir in first and we brought the band in first. The best way to work it, in my opinion, would be to bring your band in and to have a full band rehearsal to where you can work through the kinks and then your band is tight. And then we bring our choir in after that, and I will go over briefly any little notes that they need, and we just jump in and sing with the band. And once the band is finished, we re-record that rehearsal, and that's just our quick run through, which I will say that the choir has their music leading up to this rehearsal. But once we finish that rehearsal, I'll dismiss the band and keep the choir, and then we will go over just a few areas here and there that we need to touch up for Sunday morning. Again, this is not a traditional choir, and if you haven't seen my video on traditional versus worship choir, make sure to check that out. This is not a traditional choir, so you can get away with that supportive role to where they are singing backup for you, and you just need to make sure they're on tempo and they're singing along with the melody. And then if there's any parts in there that you need to work on, you can work on vocal parts during that rehearsal. Now, if you're practicing for, let's say, a Christmas Eve service or an Easter Sunday service, that might be something that you've got a little time to prepare for. So a few things to remember is, number one, people are going to miss rehearsal. So if you put out 4 rehearsals, you have to know that people are going to come to 2 or 3 of those. So look at your dates and plan out how many dates that you can have to where you feel confident and the choir feels confident to move forward. Looking at your songs, it kind of depends on how many songs you have. If you have 1 song, you could get away with a few 1-hour rehearsals. They'll get that song down. I typically, in a 1-hour rehearsal, am able to go through 1 to 2 new songs. And then the next rehearsal, we come back and review those songs. So you kind of get in this pattern to where you're reviewing 1 song and fixing the little kinks, and then you're working on a brand new song. And so if you have 4 or 5 songs, you're planning out the weeks. And I try to do kind of double the week. So if I have 5 songs, I kind of want to do maybe 10 weeks of practice. Some people can jump in, and I've done it in the past to where you don't have to be so prepared, but as a director, you might feel a little more stressed in that situation. So if you want more time to prepare and you don't want to be, up to the wire saying, oh my goodness, people have missed, we're not able to do this soon, then give yourself a little bit more time. But I will say that your choir will jump in last minute. Even if they feel the pressure, they're going to be on stage and a lot of responsibility falls on them. They'll practice at home and they will get it down. So have confidence in your choir and cover them in prayer through this. The next thing is to go into your rehearsal with a plan. So if you have a 1-hour rehearsal, let's say once a week. So our rehearsal, we meet on Sunday evenings for any special services. So if we have Christmas coming up, we'll meet on Sunday evenings just for Christmas. And then on our regular Thursday evening rehearsal is the night that we practice for Sunday morning. So we have those rehearsals split, and I think it helps my sanity, but it also helps the choir. They know what they're coming for. I do not have a high requirement for attendance. I do suggest that the choir comes to 3 out of 4 rehearsals, but I'm not quick to cut people if they don't. The only requirement I have is if they are on mic, they have to be at the rehearsal before they sing. So that's just something to note. If you have super high attendance requirements, that's going to put you in a bind because people will say, I can't make it, or I was at all of last month's practice, but this month I have to be out 3 times. And then you're stuck with people backing out last minute. Like I said, people are going to step up to the plate. So just keep that in mind when you're working on it. Don't put too much heavy stress on it. After all, it is a worship choir. It's a supportive role in the church versus center stage. Now, if you're working on Christmas, I will say they are a little more center stage if it is like a night of worship, but include songs that people can sing, and it's more interactive and gives you more of a community feel. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'd love to help you with your worship choir.